In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? As you can tell, I am not your normal host, Tony Dunn. Tony is on vacation with the family this week, so shout out to Tony. Hope you're having a good time. But hey, while Tony's away, the boys will play, right? Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Panthers depth chart that was just released. Dan Arnold is apparently looking incredible in training camp. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight. We're even going to talk a little bit of Zach Wilson throwing a bunch of interceptions. But before we do all that, let me run down some of the Panther faithful in our YouTube chat. Sideshow Rob, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Diesel Drew, Humble Flip No Fool, NC Hager 22, Craig Cartner, ATX 19, Moneybag Lawson, and nothing to it but to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you have not done so already. Let me bring in my co-host for tonight. You know him, you love him. His first letter of his name is C. The second letter of the name is K. CK with the golden voice. What's up, brother? How are you, man?
Man, listen. Football is here, sort of. So that's going to be fun. We're going to be able to, I guess, break down what we're going to expect to see on Sunday when we go against the Indianapolis Colts in our preseason debut. And that'll be nice to have a game to actually do a post-game show for. So other than that, man.
Panther football this Sunday.
Right.
How
right.
awesome is that, dude?
Dude, it's amazing. I'll just put it out there. Like it's nice to have my focus be able to be on something else other than what all it's been on for the past year and a half. Obviously last year we played a little bit, but I don't think we were really paying that much attention. I mean, we were paying attention to football, but it felt different. It feels different this year.
It definitely feels different. So much more excitement. Dude, we're all ready for Panther football. My next co-host is basically the de facto co-host of the Friday Free-For-All. He's been on every single Friday, and tonight he's made some time to join us on our Tuesday show. It's Nick Montiero. Nick, what's going on, brother?
How's it going, Cody? Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite, man.
Yeah, dude, happy you could come on. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. This depth chart has come out, and there's a lot of really interesting things to discuss. So I just want to go ahead and jump into that, and because there's a whole bunch of things that I know is on the mind of Panther Nation right now, and let's just go ahead and jump into it. If I can click the right link, I promise I'll get to it eventually. Do I even have it open? Yes, I do. Okay, here we go. Panthers depth chart. God, it's the same link. Your boy is really screwing up. Give me 1 second. I swear I have two. See, this is what happens when you have too many links open in your Google Chrome browser. But we will figure it out. Okay, this is the one. And I keep trying to share it, and it's not sharing. But I'll go ahead and jump into one of the issues that I'm definitely concerned with the most. Here we go. So right now, let's look at the offense first, and then we'll kind of go through it a little bit deeper into detail. Also joining us tonight, a familiar face of the Friday Free For All, Kevin Blashoven. What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. Just I got me a beer. Since Tony's not joining us, I figure I'll get drunk. I got my Super Bowl jersey from 2003 on. Still fucking fits. That's how much of a fat kid I was.
Love it, dude. I love a good throwback jersey myself. Yeah, so let's go ahead and run through this a little bit. There's a bunch of interesting things to talk about on this depth chart. And I want to start off by saying this. Dude, this depth chart means nothing to me right now. It means absolutely nothing to me. Until the Panthers have a padded practice, like all of this is 100% in flux.
Right.
It doesn't really say a whole bunch to me right now. It's certainly nothing to freak out over. But there are some interesting things of note. And I'll just kind of go through them real quick. One, Chuba Hubbard is our third string running back right now. Reggie Bonifant is currently higher than him on our depth chart. And he's our backup running back behind Christian McCaffrey. Reggie Bonifant did impress in the time that he was here for us last year. He dealt with some injuries, but now apparently he continues to impress people even more so than Chuba Hubbard. Does anyone have any thoughts or opinions on the running back position?
Yeah, I want to point out that when this past week during the week, I can't remember which day, Rule was asked about anybody that stood out. Just to further prove of the kiss of death that Matt Rule has when he gives you a compliment, he said the one person that stuck out to him was how good Rodney Smith was playing. Wow. And so he's listed fourth on that depth chart, which indicates, at least on that, he is probably going to be either a practice squad player, or he's just going to be a special teams, possibly a punt returner or something along those lines. So it's interesting, but yeah, that's when I see him at fourth, I thought that was odd. I know we have Reggie Bonifant, and he's had to take over the load at times, and he's done a very good job in certain games. But I'm surprised they don't want to have Hubbard up there, with having draft capital and clearly, liking what he's able to do. I'm surprised he's not number two.
I wonder how much of this is just Reggie Bonifant having a little bit of familiarity with the team already. Right. They kind of know him. He's had a while to get healthy. Another thing to keep in mind, too, is that a lot of these rookies, especially depending on the player, they were just playing college football not too long ago. So, they might not have they might be a little more taxed coming into practice than some of these other guys. But again, it's not something I would super freak out about now. Another interesting thing that I noticed from this depth chart is, why do we list two tight ends? We have a right tight end list, and we have a left tight end.
I think that has to do with the offense we run, right? Because isn't that similar to what a lot of the offenses have been running, a lot of two tight end sets?
To me, it's just kind of misleading, though.
Right.
Like we know that Terrace Marshall isn't going to be on the field with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Like, there's no doubt about that. So you kind of have to bump all those other guys up. So Shi Smith is kind of looking like a second stringer right now. Brandon Zylstra, is another guy that people are kind of high on. Some people are high on, rather. And then, so look, we have to talk about this offensive line depth that we have going on here, because it's definitely the biggest point of conversation. And dude, I'll just say this: we have a guy on our team named Sam Tecklenburg, and I hope like hell this guy's from Mecklenburg, just so I can call him Sam Tecklenburg from Mecklenburg, bro. Because I'm that kind of simple-minded idiot, dude. Either way, he is our second string center, and the most notable thing is that Cam Irving is still listed at left tackle for us.
I don't think that's interesting.
Well, it's interesting in the fact that apparently he's already been dealing with some injury problems. Apparently he's had a shoulder injury. So he's kind of been sparse in his ability to take the field. And listen, I've been staunch on this, and I'm going to go ahead and call my shot now. I'm almost certain that Taylor Moton is going to be our left tackle this year. People don't want it, and I understand all the people that don't want that to be the reality. But now, Brady Christensen listed at right tackle behind Taylor Moton. I'm kind of thinking that they want to push Brady Christensen into that right tackle area to put Taylor Moton on the left side. By the way, in practice, they keep on experimenting with this. They keep on giving Taylor Moton left tackle reps. So what do we make of that? Is there any kind of worry about our front lineup right now? And do any of you feel any kind of way on our tackle positions?
Do we feel, obviously we got a couple of things. I think one of the things that I thought was interesting was that Elfline is beating Dennis Daly for left guard.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting. I know he's a free agent, pick up and everything, but that just it felt like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Dennis Daly still managed to do a pretty decent job at the left guard position, or was he just a speed bump? I can't remember.
I heard he did pretty good.
Yeah, he did pretty good.
For what I recall, I thought so as well, and that's a surprise to me that he's second string. The other thing is how much of a bust we have with Greg Little coming in on third on left tackle.
Can we talk about that? We moved up to draft this guy. Marty Herndon moved up to draft this guy, and he's currently a third string left tackle behind Trent Scott, who, by the way, wasn't he a 6th-round pick in that very same draft?
Right.
Like, dude, it's embarrassing, man. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's such a wasted pick, and it's already looking like he's a bust. Like they aren't, I had kind of floated around the idea of, well, maybe let's move him around. Let's see if he might have a second life at guard or something like that. Let's try and get some kind of value out of this guy.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that's happening anytime soon.
Well,
No,
what's worse, how much we've wasted on him, or the fact that we have one guy that's behind him? Imagine being that guy.
Yeah, right.
Martez Ivy. I mean, it's clear that he's a camp body.
Yeah, right. I mean, essentially, there's no difference between Greg Little and Martez Ivy. Like
they played more games last year. Same amount of games, probably.
Let me ask you this: how, and maybe we can write this down, or maybe create a pool, an office pool to figure this out. Should we start taking bets on which week it'll be before Greg Little's on the practice squad, or if he even makes it to the 53-man roster?
First preseason game.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Healthy scratch.
First or second.
If he does not play the majority of left tackle position, like a left tackle, reps in preseason, I don't know what this coaching staff would be doing with him. Like, they have no belief in him whatsoever.
Yeah.
Wait for that contract to run out.
Scott Fitterer didn't draft him. They have no connection to this guy. I mean, he was one of these players that really had a lot to prove this year. And again, it's looking like he isn't going to do jack shit for us. So, man, I hated that pick when we made it. And unfortunately, I, like many others, turned out to be right on this. Let's move into this last weird little thing before we move to defense.
Hey, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tecklenburg, that's my mayor's name.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, Tecklenburg? You made it.
Oh shit. Maybe that's his son. Yeah, who knows?
Probably.
And you know what? As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me. Nick Montero has a cousin on the team.
Really?
Aaron Montero. It isn't actually Nick's cousin, but in my head it is. So that's what I'm going to keep on calling him.
Hey, we grew up in the same state, so in my opinion, we're kind of cousins. Might have been
dude.
the other end of the state, but
Yeah, man, dude. Maybe that's your long lost family. Just like Tony's long lost brother is the guy that cleans the laundry. Yeah, this is your long lost cousin. But yeah, shout out to everyone who cleans laundry for a living. I'm sure that's not easy.
So Cody, real quick.
Yeah.
I looked up Reggie's contract, and this is
Yeah.
his last year with us. After this, he's going to be a free agent. So what if their thought is, let's run Reggie into the ground, put Chuba behind Reggie, let him get a few snaps so that way we don't run him into the ground too, and then we have a fresh running back for 2022.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm not even mad at that idea too.
Yeah.
And again, I think there's an air of accountability. Also, I think just like every other team, our coaches want them to go out there and earn it and prove it. Which is why we're so pumped for this preseason, man. Like we want to see some of these guys actually, make plays in a game against another team in pads on a different team. That being the most important thing. So yeah, it's certainly a good idea. I mean, I don't know if that's the mindset behind what they're doing. But then let's talk about this, dude. Speaking of another potential wasted pick made by Marty Herney, how many other teams have two quarterbacks listed as their backup?
I'm so confused. I don't understand why. They've clearly made the decision to go ahead and there were still battles that needed to be fought on the trenches with their offensive line, but they didn't have any problem listing those guys out to third and fourth string. I don't know why they're having trouble deciding. Listen, at least for now, we're rolling with PJ Walker as our backup. I think that's the biggest question, right? That just seems so odd to me that you're gonna have two second string quarterbacks. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me either, especially seeing how PJ was put in quite a few times last season. Whereas Will Greer, I think he only got sent in maybe once or twice.
No, he didn't get sent in once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't even have one shot. They every time that that Teddy Bridgewater was hurt last year, they actually the question was always who's going to win, who's going to get the backup starting job this week, and they never knew the answer, and then it was always PJ Walker instead. I'm like I said, I think that this is his last year, or is it one more year after this that he has under his?
This is PJ's last year with us, yeah.
And what about Greer? Greer is coming close. This is either his close.
Will Greer was drafted in
18
the same
or
year
19.
same year as Greg Little.
Yeah, so one more year after this.
Wasn't it the same draft?
Yeah, it was the same draft. Because,
horrible draft.
Yeah, dude.
Damn.
And if I'm wrong, I'm sure the chat room will correct me on this. But again, I said at the time that when Will Greer was drafted, he was basically meant to be a contingency plan for a hurt Cam Newton if Cam Newton's injuries continued to tank the season and render our offense ineffective.
And
that
unfortunately,
Will Greer would be able to come in and do something. Never beat out Kyle Allen. Never beat out Teddy Bridgewater. Couldn't beat out PJ Walker last year for the backup
or Taylor
position.
Heineke.
Yeah, or
but
Taylor.
You gotta. There's a couple of things caveats we have to throw in here with Will Dreer apparently.
Yeah, Will Dreer.
Will Dreer. Listen,
That's
talk
his
about
new
him
name
not beating,
from now on, by the way.
Right. We talk about him not beating out Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen had a rapport with Ron Rivera, and Ron Rivera is known for playing the guy who's been in the league longer. We all known it. We saw it happen with Brian Burns. We saw it happen with plenty of other up-and-coming talents that were able to blossom once they left here or once they were able to get on the field. But that being said, so let's take the Kyle Allen part of it out of it because, in all honesty, that was a shit show decision by our coaching staff. Even if you want to talk about him not beating out Teddy Bridgewater, which I think all of us would have preferred to see Will Greer on the field as opposed to Teddy Bridgewater last year. In one way or another, he was either going to be better or give us a better draft pick. One of the other.
And we would know what we would have in them too.
Exactly.
That's the other big unknown.
I think we all wish that would have happened, but we also know Teddy Bridgewater was paid to play, and he was paid to come in here and run an offense that he was familiar with because he was over there with New Orleans and Joe Brady. And so that there was no chance, no matter how much better. Like we saw PJ Walker come in and, in my opinion, play better football. Maybe not as sound, obviously not as great with keeping the ball in our team's hands, but he played better, at least more exciting football for the fans than Teddy Bridgewater did. And Teddy Bridgewater still got that win for that starting job. He still got the nod all the way to the end. And then if you want to talk about why PJ Walker got the nod, we all have seen it time and time again with Matt Rule. There is a sense of nepotism that comes along with his position. He has too many Temple players. He's got too many, former players that have played for him in college that are on this team. And I think that it's clear that he is, there is. I mean, how is it not going to be? You're familiar with PJ Walker. Will Grier wasn't your decision to come into Carolina. So, I mean, right now he's like an odd man out. I think he deserves to have a shot if in fact Sam Darnold happens to go down. But I think we need to see a lot of Will Grier this preseason, and I'm hoping that they don't do a tremendous amount of. I think they should split the reps between PJ and Will.
Nick, do you think that we're going to keep 3 quarterbacks, or do you think that we're just going to roll with 2 and they're just battling for that number 2 spot?
I think this season we're going to keep 3. It's PJ's last year on his contract. There's no reason to cut him unless if you want to trade him and try to get something for him, which I'm not necessarily against. But we know, I shouldn't say we know what we have in PJ. We know more of what we have in PJ than we do Will. So I'm not necessarily comfortable with leaving Will as our main backup, especially given the fact that Sam Darnold hasn't played a full season.
I was about to say that.
What
does that say about Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
We had to have 2 backups.
Well,
Right.
what does it say about Teddy Bridgewater too?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's, and so I feel like both PJ Walker and Will Grier have a certain contingent of fans, and it normally goes something like this. Will Grier, he wasn't given his opportunity to really have someone depend on him to be the quarterback. He never got the opportunity, and it's like he did start early in his or late into his rookie season. I actually went to that Saints game where he started for us and just absolutely stunk up the joint. But again, our whole team was outmatched in that scenario. And then again, PJ Walker. Look, PJ Walker has a ton of fans that come into our chat room sometime and say that he should have. Which I do agree that, especially after we beat the Lions, I wanted to see PJ Walker start the rest of that season.
Yeah.
Like, why not? If he gave the offense an extra spark that it was missing otherwise, then give PJ the reins. Let him throw the ball a little bit.
Right.
I thought that he was opening up our offense in a way, just with his aggressiveness and want to push the ball down the field. I felt that did a ton for us. But at the same time, he has also had some up and down practices thus far this training camp. And again, one hasn't been noticeably better than the other.
Right.
Another thing to mention, and I wanted to get everyone's opinion on this, how much do we want to see Sam Darnold play this preseason game? Knowing how shallow our depth is, and none of us want PJ Walker or Will Grier to be starting the season for us. And on top of that, we've also been in a scenario where we started Cam Newton, and that's when he hurt his foot that, tanked our chances the rest of the season. So
Right.
It's not like Panthers aren't accustomed to having this happen to us.
That was like the first
how
drive,
much?
right?
Yeah, I mean, how much at all would you play Sam Darnold?
I don't know that I would, especially on this first game. I mean, maybe one drive and that's it. But I only have my biggest issue is this is literally a game that if he has a bad drive, it is going to just cause everybody in Panthers Nation to say, cut him, start Will Grier or start PJ Walker. Nobody's gonna be calling for Will Grier, I don't think.
Right.
But it's gonna be bad. I obviously we got to get him out there, but I also don't know how. I guess it really depends upon what we see from the Indianapolis Colts and our mutual joint training. You guys got to keep in mind the Colts don't have a bad defense. Like they have a pretty pretty stout defense. And do we want to start off Sam Darnold's introduction to Carolina with that defense? I just don't know that I do.
And DeForest Buckner.
Mhm.
I mean, again, you run that risk of, you don't want him to get hurt, but at the same time, you kind of want to see some of the stuff that they've been practicing pay off. You want to see them get in that rhythm and start to build some
Get that rust
chemistry.
off.
Yeah, bump the rust
Yeah.
off. Remember, he hasn't played good football in a
Right.
while. So
He was out most of last year too, right?
he was out. I know he finished the year. He might have missed a few games. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting thing to monitor how many snaps they do give Sam, because you don't want to coddle him, you don't want to baby him, but then again, at the same time, there's a lot of unknowns about our offensive line. PJ Walker and Will Grier are still battling out for this backup spot. I really do think that Sam shouldn't play too much. I think CK hit the nail on the head. Maybe like one series.
Yeah.
Is it because of the injury or because you're scared you don't want to fuck up his mental?
No, I'm not worried about his mental. I mean, if anything, if I didn't have to worry about his injuries, then I would want him to be out there. Fuck it. Throw picks. Fuck around, You're knocking the rust off, I'm not worried about his mental. I think Sam will be fine. But you're going to make mistakes, especially early on in the season. And I want Panther fans to remember that, everyone's going to want to drag him over hot coals the first time he throws an interception and just completely jump off the deep end. I mean, unless it's bad, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't hit the panic button fast.
Sam's first year in preseason wasn't all that impressive, but his first game was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I mean, out of the three teams that we play in the preseason, do the Colts have the best defense?
That or the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, we played a couple of stout defenses, to be fair.
Yeah, we played the Colts, the Ravens, and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm not as scared of the Steelers as I was back in 2016, 2017, or 2018.
After the Browns, what they did to them.
So I mean, if we're playing three relatively stout defenses, in my opinion, play Sam for the first week, put him in the entire game, put him against a solid defense, and then he has 3 weeks the rest if he needs to.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not a bad idea. Just it's not going to happen, because the problem that you're running into with that is you've got to be able to get the reps in for the third strings to find out who you're cutting. So this is a big game to find out. Number one, this is a great game for the ones. I think our ones are pretty all set. I think we all can pretty much go through every position group and know who our ones are. I mean, honestly, I even would say, maybe other than the right guard or left guard position, I think we have that unlocked as well. I mean, we already know left tackle, at least for right now, is assuming that he comes in and he's still healthy, is going to be Irving. Right tackle is going to be Moton. Center is going to be Paradis. I'm still confused about Dennis Daly not playing or coming in second string over there. And then the other guard, I can't even remember. But that part is, I think we're pretty much clear on that. I think we really need to see our second and third strings to understand who we've got, and who's going to actually be. That's why I say I'm a big fan of PJ Walker and Will Grier getting 1/2 apiece for pretty much all of these, maybe except for the last game. But that way we can kind of get an idea of who we actually have in our backfield.
It used to be the third game was where most starters played, but I don't know what they're going to do this year.
Right.
Only 3 games, right?
Oh, and so real quick, a show note for tonight. My bad. I didn't mention it at the start of the show tonight. There will not be any cat calls tonight. And I tried my damnedest to make it happen, but it required me getting out of my Google account. And the last time I tried that, it was a hell and a half to get back in. So unfortunately, there will be no calls
Just do it in
tonight.
the chat.
So what?
Just do it in the chat. Like ask people in the chat room. Have them type questions.
Yeah, we'll do something. If anything, we'll have some backed up calls that we'll get sorted out. And I guess, Craig, thank you for reminding me. I promise I will do the ad read. I have not forgotten about it. Again, Tony is out this week, so I'm having to kind of fly by the seat of my pants here. But the last thing, we're still on offense right now. Before we get to the defense, we have released David Moore, and he was an undrafted free agent that a lot of people were really high on. A lot of people thought that he could play guard or center for us. And the Panthers basically cut him, and I don't really know what for. And I don't know why you would even make that move before getting these guys some preseason reps. So, Deontay Brown is sitting at our backup right guard right now. I could easily see that guy continuing to work his way forward and eventually breaking the starting rotation. I don't know why you wouldn't give David Moore the same opportunity to do the same thing. It just doesn't really make sense to me. Was he really that? Was Mike Panasuk and Matt Kasky? Were either of those guys better than David Moore? I don't know. I wish we would have given him a chance to do something.
At least in one of the games. Why cut the guy?
Yeah, it makes no sense at all to me. Like, let the guy play some football.
Right.
And the Jets picked him up too. So, for whatever reason, if David Moore ends up going on to be something for any other team, then know that the Panthers are the ones that cut him essentially before we ever got to the first waivers. So that's kind of embarrassing if you ask me. But go ahead, man.
When I first heard that they cut David Moore, I thought it was the receiver. I was like, oh shit, they cut the receiver already?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was offensive lineman, same thing.
Yeah. She could have thought that at first too when I told them that.
Yeah, I was confused because they did the the interview with David Moore today, for the post interviews for the practice. And when you said that, I'm like, they let him do an interview and then cut him right after.
Yeah,
what assholes!
The level of disrespect, right?
That's what I was thinking.
All right, but let's move on to the defense because there's definitely some interesting things for us to talk about on defense. Number one, let's talk about right side defensive end. Morgan Fox is currently penciled in as our starter ahead of Yatur Gross-Matos. And, I don't know what to think about this. I was really high on Gross-Matos coming out of Penn State. Couldn't stand the Penn State coaches because they never teach up all the tremendous talent that they have. But I did really like Yatur Gross-Matos' film. And right now, apparently, Morgan Fox is playing better than him. That isn't too assuring to me. Morgan Fox doesn't, say much or do much for me as a pass rusher or as a defender, too. So, it's just, what do we think about this? Is there any worry about any of the players on our current defensive line and what this means for our future?
I mean, not really. I think it's actually pretty. I think you were telling me about Daquan Jones, right? And the fact that he's already penciled in as ahead of Bravion Roy, who is, by all accounts, been a pretty good player there on the defensive line.
Yeah, he played some good snaps for us last year.
Yeah, and the fact that, and I think you had talked about it. You had said, we need to keep an eye on this guy because he is, he's turning heads, playing well. And so I think that's an interesting name there to be already penciled in at number one. I'm more interested to move over to linebacker and talk about this.
Yeah, man, we can jump around wherever. I will leave it with this though. For my well, for my final opinion, we'll get Nick and Kevin in on this. Is I'm still hopeful that Yatur can take a step forward and win that job. To me, that's his job for the taking.
Right.
I mean, really, it truly is. I want him to step up and take the next step forward, and I'm hoping that he can. Does this worry any of you at all? Nick, Kevin, whoever wants to jump in on this?
I mean, we got him in the second round last year. He should be a starter, so maybe sit him 1 year behind Morgan so that way he picks up something, because last year he did start for us and we had a pretty young defense last year.
Yeah.
Maybe he can pick a couple things up and be our starter for next year, but I'm not going to necessarily worry about it too much right now. He's still second string, not third string. So
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
You can always beat him out for the first starting job. I mean, I don't think how set in stone they are at him with Fox as starting.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to Panthers Buzz FSU23 says Morgan Fox
Did he really?
6 sacks last season with a limited role. I mean, I don't remember it being that much. I'm not saying Panthers Buzz is lying. Again, though, it's like I kind of feel the same way that with Morgan Fox that I do about Justin Burris. Like, it's just a name that I'm not too familiar with, so I don't really have a real strong opinion on what he can and can't do. I just imagine that if unless it's some diamond in the rough story that's about to play out, if we haven't heard much about him before, well, then they're probably just a warm body out there.
Right.
And I don't know, Morgan Fox. It's a warm body that we don't know a lot about at a very important position. So that's kind of why it worries me a little bit. CK, you wanted to talk about? Go ahead,
he did get 6 sacks last year. So I'm looking at his stats right now. Yeah.
I didn't realize he was on the team.
And he started all 16 games the last three seasons. So he's at least been healthy too, which is kind of something that we need. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We absolutely do need that.
Maybe that's why I guess because he's been healthy.
Yeah, but moving over to linebackers.
Yeah, do it, man.
So this is an interesting one. We'll talk. I guess we can read out what we have here first and foremost, and then go from there. But right now at our outside linebacker, we have starting out with Shaq Thompson, and not much. By the way, we don't have much depth behind Shaq. You're not going to recognize any of these names: Julian Stanford and Jonathan Tilliston, whatever that is. And then coming in interestingly, and I don't know if this has to do with Denzel's injury because he hasn't really been able to, he's been kind of recovering from one, but he's got Jermaine Carter Jr. as our starting middle linebacker, which is interesting to me. I'm actually not I don't have any problem with it. I think I actually like that because it's going to give us an idea of what he is. And I don't think we've really had a shot up to this point to see that until late last year when we finally got Tired Whitehead out of there. And then we actually started to play a little bit better as a defense. That's an interesting.
He excited last year.
But to have Denzel Perryman be signed to be our starting middle linebacker and him to come in on the second string on the depth chart, do you guys believe that has to do with his injuries? Or do you have to do with is it actually that Carter has been outworking him?
I think it's Carter. I think the potential of last season, I mean, he got me hyped. Maybe just because of Whitehead and how bad he was. So it was exciting to see someone actually do good. But I think he's got tons of potential.
Right. I mean, I'm hoping that's the case. And Denzel Perryman, I think he's recovering from an injury prior to us signing him too, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's been dealing with some injuries. He didn't finish every game last season for the Chargers either.
Right.
So that's been something of concern. Again, we're not going to get into it, but he's also someone who hadn't been vaccinated, and they were asking him questions about it too. So that's, I don't think that plays anything into it.
Right.
So again, maybe they're just being kind of, slow with him. But guys, I gotta be honest. Jermaine Carter Jr. Like, yeah, I'm hopeful for him, but that doesn't like. Do we know? Like, God, we're hoping that he's better than Tyler
Right.
Whitehead, but it's
Right.
like Scott Fitterer brought in Denzel Perryman strictly for this purpose, to be our middle linebacker, and now if he really is second on the depth chart, because it's a skill thing. Like, if Jermaine Carter is outperforming him, to me that's a problem. Unless Jermaine Carter is just stepped into all of his potential and is balling out right now, which I don't necessarily know that's the case. But yeah, that's not very assuring at all.
No.
Maybe
Like,
Carter
at
knows
all.
the system better.
True, and yeah, this is probably the best idea to explain it real quick. Salesman says, "Don't get hung up on first and second string
Definitely.
D line. We're gonna rotate bodies all game." And by the way,
certainly.
shout out to one of the founding members of the C3 podcast, Joe Riolano. What's going on, brother? We love and miss you. He said, "Could the quality of depth be a problem for the Panthers?" And I
100%.
definitely think so. That's why I named this tonight's episode "Panthers Depth Chart Looks Shallow," because that's 100%. That's what I'm feeling right now. That we're a few injuries away from potentially having a real bad time of things.
So for the middle linebacker, I mean, Jermaine Carter, it makes sense to put him in that first string. Denzel Perryman dealing with injuries a lot. He hasn't really been practicing all that much just because of his injuries. Unfortunately, not vaccinated, so that does play a very minor role in it. But who knows? Maybe a little competition for Jermaine actually made him step up his game even more.
Or just a veteran.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hopeful, man. I mean, Panthers buzz is Carter's going to make a name for himself. A lot of people are really kind of hopeful that he can be something legit for us this year. So, I mean, here's the hope. And again, it's another one of these players where I don't really know how to feel about him too much. We've kind of seen him in a limited capacity. He stepped in when he had to, and he did as good as can be expected. But, I mean, now he has a real opportunity to go out there and genuinely compete for this starting inside linebacker spot. And then on top of that, you start to look at some of these other linebacker positions. Do we even see Christian Miller on here?
No.
No.
Yeah, he's third. On the
yeah.
Oh, yeah, defensive end. Yeah, left defensive end.
Yeah. Okay, he's all the way at the top. I'm done. Yeah, behind Marquise Haynes too. Man, that's another player that I was kind of high on when we drafted him. He dealt with a lot of injuries at Alabama, and I don't know if maybe potentially that's what's been holding him back now. But he really had a lot of good flexibility.
Haynes or Miller?
I'm talking about Miller.
Okay.
When you played for Alabama.
You got to keep in mind what happened last year too.
Yeah, he opted out.
Yeah, he opted out for the entire season, and I'm telling you guys, as much as they want to try to, and you guys probably feel it on your day-to-day lives. Like, if you try to go out there and if you try to go to your work and they say, if you don't want to work today, that is your choice. You don't have to work. If you say, all right, I'm not going to work. Well, guess what? Everybody else that decided to come to work is going to hold a grudge. And the people that were in charge, even though they told you it's okay, we're all human. We're all going to hold that grudge, right? They're going to hold that. So I think that he's going to be fighting an uphill battle because he made that decision to opt out last year. It sucks because he was given that option and he had that right to do so. But I do believe that's probably impacting his position as well.
Yeah, because you're that coach and everything too. New system.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, how much did you think that plays into it? The fact that he just lost an entire year. Do you think they just don't, they don't trust him as much as they do Marquise Haynes necessarily in that position, who, by the way, has been here a little bit longer than Christian Miller. So again, that's a guy that's a little more familiar with what we're doing, even though he's had a few defensive coordinators. It interests me how much. I kind of think it's an injury thing with him too. Like I feel like at least that's what it was at Alabama, because he did a lot of really good stuff at Alabama and just kept on getting hurt. I know he opted out because of COVID, but again, I want to see him. A lot of these guys work their way up the depth chart. A lot of these guys still have the potential to do something, especially Davion Nixon sitting right there behind Derek Brown. That's a name who I could see being a legitimate guy in our rotation. Does anyone have see anything else that they wanted to mention? Oh yeah, and do we have AJ Bouye listed behind J.C. Horn? But they pretty much mentioned that we're going to put him at nickel, and that's kind of, I think that's a good move. Let Dante have one more year to man the outside, prove he can be a true outside cornerback, and let him play. And finally, the final bit of thing that I do want to talk about on the defense is Jeremy Chin is listed as our free safety. And this is kind of unexpected to me. I was not expecting him to play free. I was more expecting him to be a strong safety for us. But now they're wanting to put him at free safety, and I've heard a few fans mention this as like a possibility of something that they wanted to see. But now it appears that that's really potentially what they're going to do. And he already picked off Sam Darnold in practice today too.
Yep.
Maybe I can try and find the clip of that and show that here in a minute. But what do we think about Jeremy Chin moving to free safety?
Honestly, I don't know that he's staying at any position. Like, I think he's going to be the Swiss Army knife of the defense. Yeah. Like, I mean, it seems like they know his versatility is going to be valuable to them in a lot of different areas. And if he's needed elsewhere, I think he's going to be utilized elsewhere.
Let's face it, he was probably one of the most important pieces, if not the most important piece on our defense last year.
Right.
So why stray from what you know already works? Bounce that man around, put him in every position possible, and let him eat.
Not wrong.
How many interceptions does he have on Sam Darnold now?
So I'll go ahead and share this clip. I don't know exactly.
He has 2.
Yeah, I also think 2. Enlarge this play right here. Drops back, 5-step drop, and just doesn't see Jeremy Chin just hanging back there, waiting for him. And he just intercepts the route, gets right in front of him. Shout out Rashad and PMP for the content uploading from training camp. So again, man, like our guys are starting to make plays on defense. If this works out for us, I love it. I'm a firm believer in a dominant sideline to sideline, single high free safety. I love that, man. And the Panthers haven't really. I would say Kurt Coleman during our Super Bowl year was probably the best, more consistent free safety that we had. So that's been a while. So man, if Jeremy Chin can be a legitimate free safety for us, like Sideshow Rob here says, yeah, that might be the ultimate weapon.
At the same time, when you go back and look at that play, Sam had some time to sit there and throw the ball. I know it's practice. Right. I know they can't tackle the quarterback. I know that they were basically right there by the time he was throwing it. But he had time to actually to throw it to who he wanted to throw it to. That's definitely a step up from last season.
Right.
Definitely a step up. Do you think that'll be his final position, or do you think the Panthers are going to continue to try and kind of mix him and match him and see where he works the best? Or do we think that he's pretty much going to live as that single high free safety for us now?
I don't know. I think it's so early. It's hard to say at this point.
Yeah.
I think he's going to bounce. He's going to bounce all over. I think he might spend the majority of the time there, but he's going to bounce all over.
Easy said, is Darnold colorblind? Hey, dude, look, man. I've actually heard a lot of good things about Sam Darnold these past few weeks in training camp. I'm actually excited for what Sam has been doing, and again, that's part of the reason I did want to see him some in the preseason, because it does look like, from the stuff that we're hearing on Twitter, that he is really starting to find a rhythm. And let's talk about that now, especially with Dan Arnold, because Dan Arnold, if you've been following any of the beat writers and any of the guys that are on Twitter, you'll know that Dan Arnold and Sam Darnold, they really have formed a connection, and we're gonna have a whole lot of fun saying that all season. Sam Darnold to Dan Arnold, and see how many times we're gonna mess that up when we're talking about it. But again, the Panthers haven't really had a legitimate, tight end since Dan Arnold, and apparently he has looked incredible. So, what do you guys foresee from Dan and that position this year for us?
I'm hoping, man. I've got my fingers crossed that we're getting another tight end that is being thrown out by his organization, and we're able to maximize. I mean, I think I see a lot of positives out of him, so I think that is something I'm looking forward to. But I think he's also admitted my biggest concern with him is going to be the blocking. He needs to work on it. And once he does, I mean, I think if all goes well, this guy could very well be one of the, another one of these tight ends that we look back on and be like, I can't believe we got him for nothing. Didn't have to spend a draft pick on him or anything like that. But it's hard to say with these guys.
Yeah, Nick, what are you thinking, man? Do you think we're gonna get a crazy good season from Dan Arnold this year?
I think we're going to have to. I mean, he's definitely standing out amongst the tight ends as far as receiving. If you go back and look at the depth chart, if I remember correctly, he was placed on the right side, so it would make sense if he's not that great at blocking, put him on the side where you have Taylor Moton, keep the two tight ends or keep the tight ends over on the left side that are halfway decent at blocking, gives you an extra guy. And then at the same time, it also frees up Dan to go and catch the ball.
Yeah. Sideshow Rob says he sees 750 yards, 8 touchdowns is realistic.
That'd be nice.
We would love for that to happen. And again, apparently, I was following the 4-man rush, and they said that there was a real connection there between Sam and Dan, and that they were really making a connection in the back of the end zone too. And I really want to go back and give some love to Sam Darnold here too. I wanted to show this play that was going around on Twitter. It was just a perfect pass by Sam to Terrace Marshall in the back of the end zone, and Sam throws a pebble. J.C. Horn in coverage, right above his head where only Terrace can get it. Terrace comes down and gets 2 feet in the end zone. Dude, man, that is that's about as good as you can want right there, man. I mean, this is. I'll just let it play on repeat. So okay, there was a few days where Sam Darnold had kind of struggled. He had thrown a few interceptions, and people online were kind of freaking out about it. But now that the reports are that Sam Darnold has really started to pick up the pace, are you guys starting to feel a little more excited and a little more confident about what Sam might be able to do for us this year?
Yeah, dude. Like I'm getting. Listen, I think it's. I'm kind of holding back expectations, but I think. Like I said, I think he has the potential to come out and actually show the world that he was drafted at the position that he was for a reason, and once we actually see what he's capable of doing, I think we're going to be excited.
I mean, look, and again, right there, that's a perfect pass. A spot where only Terrace Marshall is going to be able to pull it down. And, dude, that's another thing. We are going to love the physicality and the size that Terrace Marshall Jr. represents in the red zone
Right.
for us now, man. Like, that is that big body presence that we really didn't have last year. Wait, Robbie Anderson's a tall guy, but he's 170 pounds soaking wet.
He's skinny.
Yeah, 100%. He's not going to bully
Yeah.
anyone around. Terrace Marshall Jr. is 215 pounds. His long arms, very strong. He runs very precise routes. And again, if you look at what Joe Brady was able to do with him in that LSU offense, dude, he already knows how to use him to the best of his abilities. So, yeah, I'm super, super excited about Terrace Marshall. That's probably the guy that I'm most excited about seeing during this preseason game that we have coming up here. I mean, yeah, Sam, but we're going to see a limited number of Sam snaps. But watching Terrace Marshall do stuff like this, yeah, I'm super pumped to see what he does this Sunday.
Yep.
I'm excited about Terrence Marshall. He's going to bring a lot to the table. As much, I am excited about Sam, but at the same time, I'm trying to tell myself to ease it off a little bit, just because a lot of the videos that we see, it's 1-on-1s or 7-on-7s. He doesn't have anybody up in his face, and when you listen to all the Jets fans talk about Sam in practice, they always say that he looks great, but how much of that time in practice is spent with a defensive lineman in your face?
Yeah.
We have that defense that he should be training against. You got Brian Burns, you got Morgan Fox, you got all those guys that are very physical and will bring the game to you. So at the end of the day, we have that defense that he should be lining up against. And if I was at Matt Rule, I'd be doing 11-on-11s as much as I possibly can. I'd be getting the defensive lineman up in his face, putting him in pressure, so that way he breaks out of whatever mental space he was in that was holding him back up in New York. Put him under that pressure. Try to put him where he needs to be.
Yeah. A lot of people have been making this comparison of Terrace Marshall Jr. to Muhsin Muhammad. I know I brought this up on the Friday Free For All, I think it was. But, dude, hopes are high. Hopes are really high for my man Terrace Marshall. I think a lot of people are really excited to see him. But, hey, real quick, before we go any further, listen, I have to tell you guys that if you are looking to bring down your energy costs, well, then what are you doing, man? You need to get off of, get away from Duke Energy, get you some solar panels, contact our very own Kevin Brown, quit renting energy and dealing with increasing rates, no money down. Contact Kevin Brown at Avolta, Energy with Avolta. Say that you found out about Avolta through us, the C3 podcast. Let us know. That helps the podcast grow and continue to bring you guys Panther content. So, yeah, shout out to Kevin Brown. Guys, I wanted to talk about this a little bit, too, and see if, what Panther Nation is thinking about this. The past few weeks, Zach Wilson has been apparently throwing a ton of interceptions in Jets training camp. And a lot of people are already really, they're kind of shitting all over Zach Wilson and saying he's already a bust. I don't know if this is on the defense of New York or if this was just bad throws by him. It even was to the point where they're putting out articles here. I'll go ahead and share it just to show you all the headline on CBS Sports. Jets head coach Robert Saleh preaches patience after Zach Wilson's Saturday scrimmage struggles. And again, this is going to be another one of those quarterback storylines that'll be fun to follow, seeing as how the New York Jets chose Zach Wilson over our starting quarterback that we are playing for us right now. That's going to be a fun storyline to follow the rest of the season. And I'm wondering if, if our guys, J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson, if they ever come across stuff like this and they're just licking their lips, just waiting to start the season
Right.
and just waiting for this dude to target them and rue the day that they did.
I think Brian Burns is probably the most excited. Think about it. Very first game of the season, he's the one that gets the rush at him all game long.
Make him real comfortable. Welcome him to Charlotte. Welcome him to the NFL.
Listen. This guy is on the verge.
No, Sam Darnold is.
Yeah, I was just saying, this guy's on the verge of being like Zach Wilson is, I should say, is on the verge of being like the most hated person in New York. First, you're going to come in and then you're going to hold out over like peanuts, and not come to training camp for a good period of time until like, and we all know as a rookie quarterback, coming to training camp is like that is a must. Like you need to make it. Like especially with learning everybody's learning a completely new playbook and everything. I mean, I know he had OTAs, so there's value in that, but like if he comes out and if first 2 or 3 games he is just garbage, he's going to be the most hated person in New York.
It always happens to him too, man. Every time they draft a quarterback, the New York Post will do this big write-up and put the new quarterback right on the cover. And they've done that for every single one of them, and none of them are there anymore.
Yeah.
Listen, if you've been following this channel for a long time, I had Zach Wilson rated very high when I scouted him. CK did the Panthers film room with me. Like, the dude has a cannon.
Right.
The guy, he can make some effortless throws. No doubt about that. What we're wondering is he going to start fast or not? And is he going to have the proper talent up there around him to, make him look anywhere near competent? Or is it just another case of the Jets draft a quarterback and then they inevitably die up there in New York? Like, I don't know which one it is. I think right now it's probably the Jets, huh? Like, there's just something in the water.
I think he's going to die in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's definitely going to have a slow start, but I don't think it's really going to pick up all that much. I mean, let's face it, the Jets are the Jets. How much better can you be in one season compared to last season when you were basically the second worst in the NFL?
Yeah.
I mean, some say if you have a good quarterback, you can turn around any program. And that's going to really fall on Zach Wilson, in my opinion. You can have a manageably, you can have a decent offensive line and a decent supporting cast of wide receivers and tight ends and running backs. But until you get that quarterback out there to be able to get the ball in their hands to lead the huddle, I mean, it's not going to change anything. You bring that quarterback in. We saw what happened to Denver overnight, like when Peyton came out there. People wanted to talk about that they were doing well. They had Tim Tebow, but like you saw the difference that a good quarterback can make. And so if Zach Wilson can come out there and actually show up and be a quarterback that he was drafted to be, then he has the capability of lifting them up to be a 1-year turnaround. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think so. I think there's so many roadblocks to that team right now. They're making right moves. I think over the offseason, they've done a tremendous job. I just don't know that they're going to be able to make that quite that type of a turnaround, especially with a quarterback starting out the way that he did with a holdout in training camp. I think a lot of people, are going to look at that and say that that's everybody else got signed. You know what I mean?
Hey, real quick, let's go around here. Who do you guys think will be the best of the rookies drafted?
Like quarterbacks?
Yeah, the best of the rookie quarterbacks drafted. Who do you think have the best seasons?
Trey Lance.
I mean, right now, I think the biggest upside is probably Trey Lance. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. I think Trevor Lawrence is probably going to come out and look like he's a professional player immediately. But Fields is going to probably come out and look like he is what everybody thought he was going to be. When he was, I think he's going to be good. I don't know who's going to be better. Honestly, I think it's a tie. I don't think I like Zach Wilson. I don't know that he's going to come out and top the production that Trevor Lawrence is able to do. I can't see that happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really see that happening either. A lot of different opinions in the chat. We got some Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields.
My money's on that one.
Yeah,
it's going to be right there. It's going to be right there between the two. I mean, San Fran, they traded up to get Trey Lance. They're obviously a better team than the Jaguars are. They are obviously a better team than New York is. So it's really going to come down to Fields versus Lance, and who's going to really step up between them. I think it's going to end up being Lance that steps up first, but Fields is going to be right behind him because I don't think they're going to sit Andy Dalton in the beginning of the season. I think they'll do it more towards the end of the season or halfway through, but they aren't going to sit him in the beginning.
Yeah, and then Justin Fields. So Andy Dalton's the starter for them right now, but all of their promotional material for all their preseason games.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's all Justin Fields. And everybody come see Justin Fields.
You don't trade up. You don't trade up in the draft to get a guy that you're going to sit for a year. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hate to say it, but it's Justin Fields isn't going to sit back at all.
No, not at all. Yeah, why would he? Especially the Bears have, they've been waiting forever for their quarterback. So I wanted to talk about this. There's been a video going around Twitter that I want to play for you guys. I'm going to play the sound too, and it is pertaining to the rules, and they're going to be enforcing much stricter taunting rules in this year's season. So I'm going to play the video, and I will let you all listen, and then we will react to it when it's done.
The NFL Players Association, coaches, and competition committee have all made a strong statement regarding respect among everyone on the field. We saw an increase in actions that clearly are not within the spirit and intent of this rule, and not representative of the respect due opponents and others on the field. Game officials have been instructed to strictly enforce the taunting rules, and players and coaches are reminded that 2 taunting penalties committed by an individual player will result in automatic disqualification. In addition, the taunting player may be fined and/or suspended, depending on the severity of the actions.
Fine, depending on the severity of the actions. And right now, I'm instantly thinking, after every interception, defensive backs run all the way to the other team's end zone, and they all pose for a team picture.
Right.
That's commonplace now. Does this also go to the touchdown celebrations? Is it just on the field? I don't know. I agree with Lynn. She says so subjective, and it definitely seems very subjective. And it also kind of seems like, I don't know what the point of this is. Is it to reduce the number of fights? I don't understand what it's doing. Is it for the kids?
Who is it? And that's the only thing
who does it serve?
It's so that way the players don't get offended with each other.
The players aren't asking for this. That's the thing.
Yeah,
no, they aren't.
It's the dumbest thing in the world to me. This doesn't. I don't know what this helps.
No.
Is it a sportsmanship thing? Even this play that they show right here, what? So who's doing the taunting? Is it the one flexing or the one holding his hands up? Because they're both in each other's face. And Miles Jack was the one that made the big tackle on that play. So it's what, that's going to be a penalty? Dude, I feel like there's going to be a bunch of BS ejections this year.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, and I feel like there's going to be a ton of it. I don't know that we're necessarily going to have a bunch of it on our team. None of our receivers are really kind of showboaty, I guess. I mean, maybe Robbie Anderson a little bit, but I don't know, dude. I want to get everyone's thoughts and opinions on this rule. Is it too much? Like, what is this?
I think it's an interesting.
I feel like we're in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because it feels like it was just yesterday they turned it overturned it to what it is now, to where it's like able to be, you're able to actually celebrate, because you weren't able to do that for the longest time. So I think that's an interesting thing that I'm finding with it, is like it feels like it just happened like yesterday that we were able to do this, and now they're overturning it. Like I don't see the negatives that have taken place because of this,
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead.
I think it all stems from that Super Bowl game last year. When who was it? One of the players got an interception. I think it was like late in the second quarter, and it was the second time that the teams had played or something along those lines. And the guy threw up the peace sign or the two in the other player's face, and I think that's what it all really stems from. I don't think the refs want to deal with any of that, but it's like, come on, let the guys play football. It's a physical sport. When you go and you absolutely own someone, yeah, you're gonna want to flex on the guy just because it's like, yeah, I just did this. Like, yeah, let the guys celebrate.
Yeah, that seems to be the sentiment too. It's like, it's football. It's a tackle sport. It's an aggressive sport by the nature. It's like, I don't understand what this is doing for anyone. Like, it doesn't change the sanctity of the game. Like, again, I don't know. Like, normally, okay, whenever the Saints had the flag crap happen in the playoffs and everybody's freaking out over defensive pass interference, like, at least when they implemented the rule of challenging flags and stuff like that, then it's like they had something that they were attempting to fix. This, like, I don't even see what they're even attempting to try and fix. It makes literally no sense in the world to me. I don't know. It's just kind of it's like a nothing rule. Like, who is this helping?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. But I thought that was interesting.
I kind of feel like they're trying to appease old white men. I kind of feel like they're trying to please like old white men.
Yeah,
dancing or anything that's enjoyable.
Like Pat McAfee calls them the old whites.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old whites who have a problem with cussing and dancing.
That's what we were trying to get.
And all that kind of shit.
Right.
All the same people that were mad at Cam Newton when he was doing
anybody
in the end zone and dabbing and shit. What were you saying, Nick?
Yeah.
I said, what were you saying?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
I mean, not Nick. I'm sorry, Kevin. Kevin, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah. I remember that woman who wrote about like, what am I supposed to tell my kid about Cam Newton dancing? And
that Tennessee.
Yeah, and instead directed her daughter to look at the cheerleaders shaking their asses like somehow that was better than whatever Cam Newton was doing. Dude, that's the craziest thing in the world to me. But hey man, someone mentioned the Saints in the chat room, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Patrick Robinson up and retired for the New Orleans Saints, leaving them another hole to have to deal with. And I said this. I did a podcast, NFC South roundtable, for the podcast was Forever I Love Atlanta sports podcast, and I was on there, and one of the things that I said to them is that, dude, the Falcons and the Saints have so much turnaround. For the Falcons, it's their coaching staff, but the Saints, dude, they have lost so many players. They have players that are looking to be suspended. Players that are dealing with injury, players that are up and retiring. They don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be, if it's Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston. And now on top of that, Michael Thomas continues to be the diva of all divas, and apparently now Sean Payton and Michael Thomas are taking pot shots at one another, going back and forth. Um, Sean Payton and the Saints wanted him to have surgery way earlier than he ended up having it, and now he's having it late into the season.
Yep.
And he's like going on Twitter and talking about, me keeping shut helped to save y'all's credibility or something like that. Dude, the Saints are in a complete upheaval right now. And to me, that says that there's never been a better time.
The
Yeah,
downfall.
go ahead.
I mean,
The
listen,
downfall of the Saints. There's
You-
never been a
I was
better
saying it's
time
the
for the
downfall.
Panthers to rise, man. The
right?
Panthers have a real opportunity to jump in here and do something special when two of your division rivals are trying to figure shit out.
I've been saying ever since Tom went to the Bucks, that it was the perfect time to start rebuilding, because Tom is only going to get another year, maybe two. I
Right.
know he just signed an extension, but let's face it, the guy is going to be 45 years old next year. He's not going to want to keep playing football, especially if he gets another ring this year, which I hope to God he doesn't. But it's the perfect time to rebuild. We knew that Tom only had a few more years. We knew that Drew was on the tail end of his career. We didn't think that it was going to be quite as soon as it happened, but
Right.
it worked out for us. So let the Bucks eat this year, because next year we'll come eating. We'll take that number one seat in the division.
Yeah, and then you wonder how competitive we can be with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, so much of it hinges on, those first 6 or 7 games of the year for
Right.
us. If we're able to get off to a hot start, but man, if it's up and down early, I just don't foresee a scenario where the Panthers are, really making a drive to beat Tampa Bay. Like, we have to be healthy when it matters the most, and we
Mhm.
have to come out and build some momentum. And, obviously we're hoping that a bunch of players take the next step, but man, it makes that step not have to be as big now that we're looking at our two division rivals still kind of figuring stuff out. Now Julio's gone from Atlanta. They're pretty much depending on Kyle Pitts to be the new centerpiece of their offense. There's a lot going on in the NFC South right now, and I mean, obviously Tampa, but dude, the Panthers right now, there's no reason why we shouldn't be in the contention for a wild card.
I don't
I mean,
necessarily know if. Go ahead.
I was just say there is a reason. I mean, it could really it falls squarely on one person's shoulders, in my opinion, and that is Sam Darnold. If he is able to play to his potential, then yeah, I 100% agree with you. If he's not able to play to his potential, I mean, we're back at square one. Just trying to. I mean, we may be back, even though we've already exercised his 5th-year option. We may be back to looking for a new QB next year.
I don't necessarily know if it all rests on Sam's shoulders. I mean, let's face it. Well, a lot of it does rest on his shoulders. Scott Fitterer did not necessarily do him a whole bunch of favors in the offseason with the O-line. We didn't address the O-line soon enough in the draft. And it's going to cost us in the long run. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what keeps us out of the wild card hunt this season. And I can tell you right now, if we don't address the O-line in at least the first 2 rounds next season, there's going to be some issues. We can't go another year without addressing the O-line. We haven't even seen the team play this year, and we're already worried about the O-line.
Right.
Yeah. And again, I'm calling my shot. I want to be early on this because I really do feel this. And I've been saying this for a while. I think Taylor Moton is going to be our left tackle. And everybody who wants him to play right, hey, I might even agree with you. I'm not even saying that this is what I think should happen. Just the way I see things, I really think they want to try and make Brady Christensen their right tackle. and move Taylor to the left. So you never know. Maybe we might end up having our left tackle on the roster as it is right now too. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we're waiting to see what Sam Darnold does. He has to turn it on. He has a lot of proving to do, a ton of proving to do, and it's hard to do that when the offensive line is in piecemeal. But these dudes have to step up, man. And you're right; they're gonna get a good test when we play the Colts. I mean, they have DeForest Buckner. They have that really good linebacker in the middle whose name escapes me right now. I think he went to South Carolina, not like South Carolina. He went to like a lesser known South Carolina college. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, they have a really good defense, and seeing what our receivers can do against them, and how our offensive line holds up, like this is going to be huge for us.
Absolutely,
100%. So guys, there's no cat calls tonight. I wish there was, but there are sadly no cat calls tonight. Is there anything else of note before we jump into the ice up picks? Is there anything else of note that you guys wanted to mention or bring up, or just anything of that nature?
I mean, maybe we can do a prediction for what we think is going to happen this week for the game, whether or not if we want to play like who's going to win, who's going to lose, or how many plays are we actually going to see Darnold, things like that. I mean, I guess we could do like a little pregame.
Like a little preview or some of the things that maybe we're excited or looking forward to the most.
Right.
Or that sounds like a good idea. CK, since you had the idea, why don't you lead us off?
I'll go. I mean, I think right now, so just to clarify, guys, this Sunday we're going to be playing the Indianapolis Colts. It's going to be our first preseason game, the first of 3, which they reduced down to 3 when they extended the NFL regular season to 17 games instead. So now we're getting a full-on taste of what that's going to look like with this first game. And listen, we're going up against an incredible defense, first and foremost. So that part is going to be the biggest hurdle we have. I think I'm most excited about seeing whether if we do end up playing Sam Darnold, it's going to be whether that chemistry is actually there and how we actually use our tight ends. If I see action where we're actually using our tight ends, I'll be excited about that.
Dope. I would love to see some more tight end usage,
Right.
Especially out of this offense. It's been the most neglected position on our offense, really.
You're not wrong.
So that's miss Greg Olsen too, man. But Nick, what again? We'll talk about this some more too on the Friday free for all. But what are you looking forward to the most in seeing in this preseason game matchup that we have coming up?
Well, I'm hoping that we at least play some of the starters. Throw Burns out there a little bit, throw all those normal guys that you would see during a game out there, just to kick the rust off. I really want to see Sam play. I want to see how he does full speed against with no BS. Let's face it, the team puts out a lot of footage that leads us to think one way or another that's not 100% truthful. Let's see how he actually does against real talent and go from there. So I think that's what I'm excited for. That and also Joey Sly. Let's see how he does. I mean, we talked a lot this offseason how he was talking to a therapist or a psychologist or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Let's see if that pays off for him.
Yeah, maybe that sports psychologist will help him make those big NFL long field goal kicks that he was tasked with. Dude, Joey Sly literally had a chance to set an NFL record 2 times.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, and there was one of them that was like, it was a crazy play, dude. I don't know, but I'm definitely interested to see if Joey Sly can be more consistent. I know Panther fans love the leg. He definitely has the leg to boot a 70-yard field goal. I think that's why everybody Everybody loves him and what he can potentially do for us. But yeah, has to be more consistent, especially on those short yardage kicks and those extra points. Yeah, those are must have those. Yeah, Kevin, what are you looking forward to the most at this preseason? And then we'll get a score prediction. And your volume's kind of messed up. You might need to plug your earbuds back in.
Oh, okay. You hear me better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. Yeah, Shi Smith is definitely. That's my boy, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to see a lot from him. Tommy Tremble, too.
Oh, yeah. That's.
I'm hearing he's the next Kittle. I mean, I hear that's what people compare him to, Kittle.
Yeah.
So, definitely the defense. I mean, pretty much all the rookies. I'm just looking forward to seeing what they're going to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see some more Tommy Tremble. We're kind of projecting with the pass catching. Like, we're hoping that he could be the kind of receiver that George Kittle is, Again, when he was in at Notre Dame, they never really incorporated him into the pass that much. So, he never really had an opportunity to really kind of show what kind of threat he was in the pass catching department. So, Kittle, especially right now, since Tremble hadn't done anything yet, might be kind of a lofty comparison. But I think people are looking at his meanness, dude. He's a badass old school tight end. He wants to block. He wants to put your ass in the dirt. Like, this dude is looking to take your lunch money, bro. And I love that, dude, especially from a tight end. Yeah, we might need him at left tackle, dude. And real quick, it's preseason. Like, we don't really care if we win or lose. We're trying to see our depth and kind of see what it's about. But does anybody have a final score prediction for this preseason game?
I think we blow them out because they got that new quarterback. I don't think that quarterback's going to be ready. That Colts quarterback.
You might not be wrong. I mean, we already know Wentz is not going to be there, so they're already going to be starting the second, their backup QB. So we're going to have a bit of an advantage there. They're already dealing with. I mean, they have some pieces in place. Their defense is. They've been dealing without Darius Leonard being in training camp because he was trying to get his extension done, and now he's finally back and he just started practicing again. I think that's going to impact their defense. But I think our depth in our second string is going to lift us ahead. I think we have an incredible amount of depth from an offensive standpoint, and a few key positions on our defense. So I do agree. I think it's going to be a hefty win in favor of the Panthers.
All right. Okay. Nick, let's go to you, man. You have a prediction for this game?
I'm going 20-12.
20-12?
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're gonna get 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. But I think the Colts are gonna do nothing but go for field goals all game.
Okay. All right. Kevin, you got a score for us?
Yeah, I already said blowout, but I'll score 28-10.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking more towards Kevin. I'm thinking maybe like a 24-14, something along those lines, maybe. Something like that. And I want to see a good mix too.
Right.
Listen, I really, like I said, I don't care too much what the score is. I don't care too much if we win or lose. The thing that I'm most looking forward to, and that I'm definitely wanting to see the most, is I want to see members of our offensive line step up.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely not looking forward to potentially seeing another turnstile left tackle that's just constantly missing blocks and assignments. And the one thing I want most of all is for everyone to be healthy, for everyone to come out of this healthy and not banged up and no injuries.
Right.
going forward.
That's why I think the Colts are not going to, put up a whole lot of points. They're already injured.
Yeah, so that's
devastating.
another thing. They're dealing with they don't have Carson Wentz. Jacob Reeson is apparently going to be their backup. This is a guy that went to Georgia, transferred out, went to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
6'6", big arm, not overly mobile, but a lot of people really did like him coming out. I do think that he'll have the ability to stretch our defense. I'm wondering if maybe Jeremy Chin comes away with a few, just by nature of them wanting to be aggressive and throw the ball downfield a little bit more. So I'm also thinking that J.C. Horn definitely comes away with at least one interception. J.C. Horn's going to get that first interception. It won't really be the first one because it's preseason, but I do think J.C. Horn is going to come away with one.
It depends on the snaps.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, AJ Bouye is injured, so I mean, in theory, he's going to get a majority of the snaps. But the one thing that I really want to see more than anything is rotation. Rotation all across the board. I want to see every player play. I don't want us to have to guess at what each player brings to the table. I don't want to sit here at the end of preseason and be like, well, this O-lineman didn't see a single snap, and this person on defense didn't see a single snap. We got guys on the roster that haven't seen a single snap, and they've been on the roster for years at this point. That's not right. We don't know what we have in those guys. Why keep them on the team at that point? Especially last season, given the fact that it was a losing season, we should have played all those guys. Who cares if we would have lost one more game? We already needed to lose games in order to get the guys that we wanted.
Yeah, to get better picks. And I was saying this last year too, dude. When you're not playing for anything, you should already be treating the games like they're preseason for next year. Get your young guys some playing time. Get them on the field. And again, I really wanted that to happen for us last year. I wanted PJ Walker to play from then on after that Lions game.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of did. But, again, I do think that there's some bureaucracy to it too. Like whenever you sign players for a certain amount of dollars and, they're set to make a certain amount of money also, depending on the number of snaps that they play. So I'm sure that also kind of plays a part.
I mean, Russell Wilson too. What's his name? I can't even remember his name anymore.
Matt Flynn. No, who was it?
Matt Flynn.
Yeah,
he
Matt Flynn. Yeah.
Huge contract. Didn't even start week 1. Russell Wilson.
I mean, Cody, my big thing is we signed Aaron Montero, I think it was in 2018, and he still hasn't played a single snap for us. He was the 3rd string last year. He's the 3rd string this year. I mean, the videos that I've seen, I'm not necessarily impressed with. But at the same time, let's see how the guy does in the game. At least show everybody, hey, this is the reason why we're going to be cutting the guy at the end of the season, or this is the reason why this guy moved up from 3rd string to 2nd string.
Right.
But we haven't done that. And that's kind of also the reason why we've had that sort of PTSD of sorts when transitioning from Ron Rivera to Matt Rule. They're both doing kind of the same thing in that aspect. They're favoring the veterans or the guys that we all know, but we've had those opportunities in both seasons to play those guys that never get any snaps.
I'm hoping to see Christensen out there ball and prove all the haters.
Yeah, me too, man. This is another. Yeah, listen, what happens? Okay, what happens if Brady Christensen goes out there and looks really good at right tackle? Do you think there's going to start to be more of a fervor to be like, well, especially if Cam Irving continues to look like shit and Trent Scott doesn't step up at the left tackle position? I'm really thinking that if Brady Christensen impresses on the right side, it's going to kind of continue to push this momentum towards like I said, putting Taylor on the left and putting Brady Christensen on the right side. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I'm kind of thinking that it's inevitable. But we'll see.
While the left tackle is more expensive, I mean, at the same time, with that argument, I'd rather push Christensen over. You know you have a solid right-hand piece with Taylor Moton. Leave him there. Let's see how Brady Christensen does on the left side. If the dude balls out on the left side, well, hey, now we've solved both sides of the line in the same offseason. Is it going to work out like that? Probably not. But at least there's a chance for it to work out like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I'm a betting man, I bet that it's damn near inevitable. Like, I mean, it depends on Brady Christensen.
Right.
But right now he's penciled as the backup right tackle, and I think that's the way our coaches are wanting this thing to happen. And
what did they grade him? It was like a third. What did they grade him?
Yeah, it was the weirdest shit in the world. He played almost exclusively left tackle, and they had him as a third-round tackle and a second-round guard. Like,
so what do you think that means, that they have him as the backup tackle instead of like a guard?
Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't that run contradictory to their own evaluation of him? Like,
Yeah.
if it's that good of a guard, why aren't you playing him on the interior? Right. Yeah, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But
it's the most Panthers thing ever.
Right?
It is definitely the most Panthers thing ever, man. But well, guys, I think we have finally made it to the final section of our show tonight. See, when there's no cat calls, we might get out of the show in 2 hours' time. How about that? But don't worry, your calls will return next Tuesday. That's a promise. Tony will be back. Temessa says, shout out to Tony, 100%. Shout out to Tony. Having a great time on vacation with the fam. Once again, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And there's nothing else to do on this show but to do our final segment where we tell some fools to ice up, son. And I happen to know that CK has come equipped with his ice up pick today. So
I did. And
CK,
we couldn't go.
I'll let you have the floor, brother.
We couldn't go an entire podcast without talking about the man, the myth, the legend himself, Cam Newton. I don't know if you want to pull up those pictures I sent in the Twitter DMs.
Yeah,
but basically, we all know that Cam Newton has these nicknames he always gives out to everybody on the team immediately, like when he gets on the team or when he meets them or whatnot, right? So he had, given his fellow quarterback, Mac Jones, a name called Mac and Cheese, right? Because his name's Mac Jones. Well, not really Mac Jones. We know what his name is, but he prefers Mac. But so they were talking about somehow there was this podcast or this thing in New England. And there was a gentleman who's taking offense to Cam Newton calling Mac Jones, and saying that it's body shaming. Like, we're calling him mac and cheese before body shaming.
Oh.
Like, bro, God. I don't think I've ever heard of anything so stupid in my life.
It's the dumbest.
The stupidest thing I've ever. Well, I'm not gonna say the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I think we've all heard some stupid shit, but by and far, that's definitely one of those things you're like, he's not really calling people, like, there's no way he really thinks that's body shaming. But anyway, to that guy, I'm just gonna say ice up, son, ice up.
Yes.
Ice up. And by the way, like, I feel like he's reading more into it than, like, obviously he's reading more into it,
right.
But like, he was the one that associated mac and cheese with this dude's flabby body. Like, no, dude, you're the one pointing that out, not Cam Newton, doofus. And by the way, why would anyone be offended by that? Who do you know that doesn't love mac and cheese? Even vegans love mac and cheese. They make vegan mac and cheese, dude.
Right.
Like everyone loves mac and cheese. What's your problem? Dude, I have ever since Cam joined the Patriots, we have like really become aware, especially if you're on Twitter, just how fucking dumb so many Patriots fans are, dude. Like, God, they will just say the most outlandish
Right.
Denim's gonna
bullshit,
start.
dude. Yeah, dude, just crazy shit.
Coming from the guy that lives up in Mass, the story does not surprise me one bit. Not even in
Yeah,
the slightest.
how could it, man? Yeah, that's I sub that truly.
Right.
Hero's Path says. Yeah, Nick or Kevin, this is your. I don't know if you guys have ever done a real ice up before. I don't know if you have anything prepared, but is there
Okay.
anyone that either of you two would like to ice up in the name of Steve Smith tonight?
Go ahead, Kevin. I got mine. I've had mine for the last few weeks.
See, I didn't come prepared, so I never had one, but I do have one now, and that's
All
my
right,
internet
go
connection. I set up, man. Like I'm on my mobile data right now, and it's doing better than my internet connection.
Oh wow.
So I guess really ice up to me for picking Comcast as my internet connection. So ice up to
Damn.
myself, ice up to Comcast.
Ice up. Yeah, I have not. I've had Comcast 2 times in my life, and both of them were terrible.
Yeah, that's all I have up here, and they are absolute garbage.
Oh, that's.
I've never had them, so I can't relate. Yeah.
Oh,
Lucky
you're-
bastard.
Thank the Lord that you have it. But yeah, Nick, yeah, what do you have for your ice up pick tonight?
So, I am an electrician. During the week, I work for a commercial contractor. He actually has an office down in Charlotte, or down in Raleigh, I should say. But nights and weekends, I have my own business that I run. Okay, so last September, get a phone call from a customer saying that they want an underground service put in. No big deal. Take care of the work. It takes, at the end of the day, it ends up taking me a month and a half because I'm waiting on National Grid to tell me whether or not they need to replace the pole before I bring my wires up to the pole.
Yeah.
Finally get the job done. National Grid kind of does their thing and they take their time, and I end up having to move things around to make things work for the customer. Everything gets all squared away. Customer, they fight me tooth and nail the entire way just because, in my opinion, the lady's a lawyer and a politician, so she wants to try to fight every step of the way so that way she doesn't have to pay for something.
Of course.
So by the end of October, job's done, move on. Get a phone call from her probably about 3 weeks ago at this point, saying that her basement is now leaking sand and stone into her basement. So I asked her to send me pictures, trying to keep everything through text so that way there's some sort of paper trail.
Yeah.
And it looks like she literally took dirt and sand and just threw it in the corner of her basement. Okay, because you could definitely tell the sand and the dirt was a different color than how it normally is when it's untouched.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, I'm going to call someone, have them look at it, get an appraisal, that sort of deal. But my deductible for my insurance is $5,000. I'm like, all right, well, when you get that information, let me know who they find liable. We'll go from there. Calls me up 3 weeks later, and she says, oh, yeah, the basement guy said that your trench was at fault, so you need to pay. I'm like, okay. Can you send me the report that the guy has? Oh, he never gave me a report. Okay, can you give me his phone number? No, you need to come here and you need to take care of this. I'm like, look, Marlene, you fought me tooth and nail last year so that way I could finally get paid at the end of the job. Okay. You're starting off the conversation of I need to pay your deductible. And then 3/4 of the way through the conversation, whenever I tell you that I need the information of the guy that you called so that way I can talk to him, you're sitting here telling me that you're going to take me to court and file for triple damages? No. Any homeowner that wants to get their house taken care of, they are going to do whatever needs to happen in order to get that done. if a contractor is saying, "Hey, can I just have the phone number of the guy that you talked to and had appraise your stuff?" Usually, a homeowner's going to do it if there isn't any issues. So, I've been dealing with this for the last 3 weeks. Come to find out, in talking to my next door neighbor who has been doing underground work for the last 20 years, the trench that I dug doesn't even line up with the corner of the house. It's like 2 feet away, and there's no way possible that me digging with a shovel could have caused the issues that she has. So, to anyone that tries to scam a contractor, okay, I have to say, ice up. Because at the end of the day, we do this for a living. Nobody wants to pay for our work, and I completely understand that. But you're paying for the guy's knowledge. So don't try to screw the guy over, because he'll be more than happy to help you out if you ever have an issue.
Right.
Dude, man, the lengths that people will go through just to save a quick buck and fuck over someone else, huh?
It's so sad.
Dude, man.
As soon as she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take you to court for triple damages," I'm like, "All right, you're just trying to play a game here. So, give me the information that I need so that way I can help you out, or just go do whatever you need to do. But I'm not playing." So.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Ice up, son. Definitely ice up. So, my ice up is one I found going through Twitter today. Apparently, at the Colorado Rockies baseball game, there is their mascot. His name is Dinger. And this floated by my timeline because the Colorado Rockies actually put up an update to this story. But apparently, one of the fans leaned over the guardrails and was like shouting a bunch of racist shit at the mascot. I couldn't find out what was being said or how it was said or what was said. But the Colorado Rockies even put out a message about it on their Twitter account after a thorough investigation that included calls, emails, and video clips from concerned fans, media, and broadcast partners. The Colorado Rockies have concluded that the fan was indeed yelling for Rockies mascot Dinger in hopes of getting his attention for a photo, and there was never any racial slur that occurred. So, some guy apparently had been accused of saying all this racist shit, and it never happened. They said that there was never any racial slur that occurred. So, it's like, where the hell did this even come from? Like,
oh, you know what it is?
What?
Oh,
he's yelling for the mascot. Say the mascot's name.
Yeah.
Dinger?
Yeah, I actually heard the video of this. Like, I listened to the video of this, and it does sound remarkably close to,
Oh, so everyone thought they heard him saying the N-word.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that he was just saying Dinger.
Yeah.
But if they knew that was the mascot's name, then people couldn't put two and two together that maybe that's not what he was saying. Dude,
no.
You have a picture of the mascot?
Hey,
So
listen.
what?
You have a picture of the mascot? What it looks like?
I can pull one up.
Listen, in an opportunity to be woke, people are going to try to be woke,
Yeah.
Because cancel culture.
Right.
Let's look at this guy right here. Dinger Rockies.
I also want to ice up that college that, paid $50,000 to remove a rock because somebody said that it was racist.
What?
Oh yeah, there was some school that just spent like $50,000 removing a 40-ton rock because there was some news article that was put out 100 years ago calling the rock racist or something along those lines. It was just.
Dude, it's a freaking triceratops.
Why?
It's a triceratops. What?
Aren't they like what's their team name?
The Rockies?
Yeah.
The Colorado Rockies? What does that have to do with that at all?
That's one ugly bear.
I guess you had that, right? Yo, hey, Hey, what that bird doing?
Yeah.
What that bird doing? Either that or they think it's like a deer with cancer or some shit.
Mhm.
Dude, and like, have you seen the Philadelphia Phillies the Philadelphia Phillies mascot? No
Yeah.
one can tell you what that thing is. Like, what the hell is that thing?
Nobody knows.
It's a fanatic,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, that is all for the Ice Up picks, and therefore, that is all for us tonight. We did a whole show without Tony Dunn. We managed to make it happen. Bro, we did it. We did a whole show. Thanks to all of you for tuning in, watching the show, listening in. CK, why don't you tell these fine people how they can find you on the interwebs?
Well, you can find me pretty much anywhere. Code Dizzle Allen. Just look at all the social medias. Just look me up. Come say hi.
All right. My two co-hosts for the Friday Free for All. These guys have been joining me every Friday. I'm sure I'll see them again next Friday. And by the way, a little shout out to that too. If you want to join the show, Fridays are your opportunity to do it. I'll put the link to the StreamYard for each and every one of you that come in, talk to me personally, talk to Nick, talk to Kevin, talk to CK if he ever wants to come in and join us on a Friday. Fridays are for the fans. Come by every Friday at 7 for the Friday Free for All. Especially after this season starts, man, there's going to be a ton to talk about, dude.
Right.
So check that out. Nick, tell the people where they can find you, man, or anything you want to plug.
So you can find me on Instagram. My handle's Monty's Motorsports. Post up all about cars, trucks, but I'm happy to talk to you about anything you want. Football, Marvel, anything out there. So announcing my new project car. It's probably going to be on Saturday that I post it up. So stay tuned for that.
Right. Nice. Check it out. I was trying to peer pressure Nick earlier into getting a Twitter account. I feel like I'm a crack dealer trying to push a drug on you, dude. Do it just once. I promise you'll never go back, dude. I swear.
You're kind of hard, dude.
Yeah, I know, right?
We'll bet.
I'm trying to be your pusher, man, bro. But yeah, Kevin, my dude. Anything you want to tell the people? Anything you want to plug?
My boys, they have a podcast called the Long Game Dynasty Podcast. It's basically a fantasy football dynasty league. They just talk about dynasty, football. They got me into it, playing it. I'm on Twitter. It's KBosch89. I'm normally not really on it too much. I just fuck with Cody, and it makes me happy. Try to piss him off.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to piss me off, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, I don't get it,
It's
dude.
annoying.
Yeah, I know. I've learned to just not be offended by anything that happens on Twitter. Twitter is
And
not
that's
the
when we're
real
friends.
world. Yeah, you're right. That's why we get along so well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight's edition of the C3 Panthers podcast. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get notified every time we go live. And until this Friday, when we will do our Friday free-for-all. And I'm pretty sure we're doing a post-game show on Sunday as well. That's right. Football season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Get hyped. Keep pounding. We're out.
Peace.
Keep pounding.